Hello friends. All right, you probably never thought that you would see me pull a hosta out of a refrigerator, but that's exactly what we are going to do today. If you have ever wondered about how to divide a hosta, today is your day, because I am going to show you the best way and the best time of year to go ahead and divide your hostas. That way we are going to multiply the beauty in your garden. So if you're familiar with Creekside, you know that we have an old refrigerator that we have laid down on its side. No, it's not a coffin, it is a refrigerator, and we have a drinking gourd hosta that has lived in here we're going on year 6, and it is time to divide her. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift it out. Easier said than done, probably. We're going to divide it. I am going to show you exactly how to do that, to take any kind of fear out of dividing hostas. Talk about why now is the best time of year to do that. We're going to replant part of it back in the refrigerator, part of it in the landscape, and then part of it in an AquaPot. So come join me here in the woodland garden at the Pines at Creekside Nursery, because today we're dividing a drinking gourd out of a refrigerator. Such a weird statement to say, but it's true. About 6 or 7 years ago, we were gifted this refrigerator from a friend, because she knew that I would probably turn it into something fun and funky. So that is what we did. We turned it into a planter. It is turned on its side. So this is how it should be, right? So an old refrigerator, International Harvest it is. And so I was very excited about this. My daddy helped me, so just because everybody freaks about safety, the lid cannot close. We've got something attached to it, so it will not close. But in here, underneath these pine needles, we have got a drinking gourd hosta. And so it is massive. You can see right here where we have the eyes that are popping up. Now, like I said, it has been in here for 6 years, and it is time to take it out. When you have plants in containers, inevitably there is going to be a shelf life for that plant in the container, because eventually it probably will outgrow the container. Such is the case with the drinking gourd. I have noticed that even though the drinking gourd itself is getting bigger, it seems like it shrinks every year. I have this photo from those 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago, and it was unbelievable. Like I said, it has gotten smaller. Why is that? It's because it's outgrowing its container, and the root system is too big and doesn't have enough available soil and nutrients for it to feed the plant to be nice and vigorous. That is the key. We need to go ahead and divide it. So what we're going to do, this is going to be the hardest part, is getting it out of the container. So I am going to do my absolute best to, it's not going to come out in one piece because of the shape of the refrigerator. So I'm going to show you how to divide it. Why are we dividing hostas in February? Well, because it has not broken dormancy yet. Yes, I can see where the plant is because of those little eyes, the nodules, but we don't have it flushed out in foliage. This is a great time to do it before it breaks dormancy, before you have all of the beautiful foliage. That way you don't mess the foliage up. The plant will have plenty of time to recover, repair itself from being cut in half, essentially, and start growing those great new roots. And so come the warmer time, the warmer months, when my hostas are really coming out and are beautiful, not only will I have one drinking gourd, I will have at least 3 beautiful, if not more, because this is a big, beautiful beast. So like I said, we're going to take it out, put a big chunk back in here. We're going to completely refresh the soil, put some biotone in here, some compost, give it all the good nutrients that it needs. Then we're going to put a piece in the landscape, and we're going to put a piece in the AquaPot. So all of this garden back here at the back of the pines will have those beautiful drinking gourds. So first what I'm going to do is wrestle this thing and get it out. I've got Johnny parked back here, and so I have got a regular shovel. I have got, I don't even know what the technical term is. We call it a sharpshooter. It's that long, skinny, narrow shovel. And then I have got my hoary. So between the three of those, hopefully I will be able to get this hosta out. So at this point, you're just trying to dig it out. If you have it in a container, maybe the container is small enough that you can turn it upside down and like shake the thing out. That would be good. If you have a hosta in the ground that you are looking to divide, then what you're going to do is you're going to take your shovel and you're going to put your shovel in the ground all the way around the plant and work your way around that hosta, lifting up as you go. Once you have released all of those roots, then that hosta will come up out of the ground and then you can proceed to the next step. But first, I am going to wrestle this thing out. Should be interesting. My friends, so I am all about being honest and keeping it real with you. So my intention was to pull the entire hosta out as like one big clump. That very quickly became apparent that that was not going to happen. So the only way that I could get it out was to basically go ahead and divide it in this container. So what I did, hopefully the camera showed it because I'm a one-woman show around here. And so, all right, my friends, so my intention was to pull this hosta out as one big, massive clump. But I'm all about keeping it honest and real with you, and that's just not how it went. Because one, the hosta was massive. Two, the weird shape of this container did not allow me to be able to get underneath it and pull it out as one big clump. So what I had to do was go ahead and take my shovel and kind of loosen up where I could around the edges. And then I was able to kind of clearly see where I had like the different clumps of eyes. And those eyes, again, are those little nodules coming up that are poking up out of the soil. And so then I took the shovel and I sliced it. You put your pointy end down, stand on it, push on it, whatever you need to do, and you're going to cut it in half or whatever kind of pieces you have. Let me show you up close what it looks like. This is the first clump that came out, and this one was relatively easy to come out. So you can see this is like last year's growth right here, but we have got really good, nice roots all the way around. So this will be one that I plant by itself. Then over here, this one was next door. These two were kind of connected to each other, but I have got those big, nice clumps. This is what you could consider an eye. So if I wanted to, I really could pull this little piece apart and divide this into lots of little pieces, but I don't. I want a nice, good-sized hosta. So this is where I actually took the shovel and cut it. You can see where that was sliced. So there you go. This one was more challenging to get out because the roots, I think, were like growing into the freezer. So that became quite a challenge. And then the main piece, this piece will go back into the refrigerator because it is the biggest piece. Now I have it kind of laying on its side. So this is the top, this is the side, and then the bottom is down here. But all of these right here, these are what we consider the eyes. Now, I was talking with Mimi yesterday, and her favorite way to divide a hosta is with her handsaw. So she has, this thing's probably older than I am. It is, she said, the absolute best for dividing these perennials. So whether it's a hosta, if it's a fern. So what she would have done is pulled it out of the pot or the ground, right? Then she takes her handsaw and she says, Jenny, I don't even try to get the eyes. I just go however big piece I want. I get it here, and then I just saw it and cut it in half. And so you can cut it into as many pieces as you want, as long as you have some really good roots. Now, my Southerners, and I'm sure other places too, I don't know if the camera will pick up on it, but this hosta had black ants in it. There's some that are crawling around. Again, I'm not sure if it's going to show you, but one of them got underneath my watch, and dear heavens, it took out its revenge on me for destroying its home. Jerry, we just had lunch, and I was like, it felt like, if you've ever been bitten by like a fire ant, these are black ants, so they're not fire ants. But even though I had gloves on, which I always have gloves on, but it must have crawled up and then got underneath my watch and bit the tarnation out of me. So now I know that yes, it is the black ants because I see them. We were hoping it wasn't a spider because nobody has time for a spider bite, right? So now that I know that yes, it is ants, I will be careful when I take all of the soil out of the refrigerator, which is my next job. This is that extra step that is going to give me gorgeous plants, hostas container for the next coming years. So what I am going to do is I am going to remove the vast majority of this soil out of this refrigerator. This soil's been sitting in here for what, that 6-7 years. And so I've got Johnny right here. So I'm going to back up the John Deere, empty out my stuff, and shovel as much of this soil out as I possibly can. And then I'm going to fill it up with fresh soil. No worries, this soil is going to go back into nature, so it will be just fine. And so that's what I'm going to do. It's going to take me a minute. I'm going to try not to get bit again by the ants. And then when it's time to fill it up, I'll fill it up and tell you what I put in it. And then we'll go ahead and plant this hosta, this drinking gourd, back in the refrigerator. The soil has been removed from the refrigerator. Just have a couple little remnants left in there. No big deal whatsoever. For those of you that are asking, yes, we do have drainage holes in here. So that is one right there. The only quote problem with that is I had a major tree root coming out of this hole. So that was fun. So the root was not going from the hosta down towards the ground. No, it was this little sugar tree. I don't even know which one these are, but one of those roots was coming up through the refrigerator. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to fill it completely. My goodness, what are we looking at? There we go, that's much better. All right, so in the back of the John Deere, I have quite a collection of soil. And so, y'all, I'm just gonna mix a bunch of these together because I have got, over by the refrigerator, some bags of soil that I had at the house that were open that I need to go ahead and get rid of. So I've got the Espoma all-purpose mix. I've got the Black Gold Ultra Outdoor. I've got some Growers Gold. I've got Land and Sea. The Proven Winners potting soil is for the AquaPot. And then I have the Black Gold natural and organic raised bed mix. So since I have quite the collection of soils it's fine. They're all really great high quality soils. Instead of just using all of one, I'm just, like I said, I'm using up bags that were open. Some of these were the ones at the garden center that had holes in it that we can't sell. So I'm going to put them in there, but as I'm putting them in, I'm going to mix them up. So I don't have a lasagna effect of different soils. They'll all get mixed up together. There's Grace in gardening, my friends. This hosta is going to be so happy to get some more room to spread her roots and to shine, so she is not going to care, trust me. Again, all super high quality. We're mixing the brands, you know. I am not brand specific. I'm going to mix them all up there together. So what I'm going to do is fill it up as full as I possibly can, but I'm going to leave maybe an inch, because of course this will settle as the rains come, about an inch, so that when we do water, it doesn't overflow, because that drives me insane. So then nestle a hole, pretty much dead center, you know, I'm going to try to center it in the refrigerator. Put lots of good biotone in there. Of course, the biotone is the root starter. It's that starter fertilizer, helps develop really strong, healthy roots. And then that biggest section of the hosta, then I'm going to put it back in there. And basically, I'm going to plant it at the same depth of which it was. So just the little tops of the eyes will be showing. And then I'll probably save the land and sea to be my top dress. So I'm not going to mix in the land and sea. That'll kind of be my mulch, my top dressing. So we got to get this one in, because we got 2 more pieces we got to plant. My friends, the fridge, she's back in action. She has been refilled with brand new, delicious soil and a massive drinking gourd hosta that is going to be so incredibly happy and gorgeous here in the refrigerator. Now, I do love a good tongue-in-cheek kind of container, and so off to the side, you will see that I have that metal container. That was actually like the vegetable drawer that went in the refrigerator. So when we turned this from a fridge into a planter, my daddy was helping me, and so I very kindly asked him if he could attach the drawer to the side, and then he drilled some holes in it for drainage, of course. And so this is where I like to put an annual, whether it's a caladium, the endless illumination broalia, or some Rocapuco impatiens, some sort of shade-loving annual that pops off the color of this really beautiful drinking gourd. If you're not familiar with drinking gourd, it is like a heavily rippled corrugated hosta that is what they would call a blue hosta. Has really nice cupped leaves. So drinking gourd, it holds the water because the leaves are upturned, and so when it rains or you water it, it holds that water. And it is such a stunning, fun hosta. Let's be honest, all hostas are beautiful and fun right now. Okay, moving on quickly, because I feel like I have been stuck in this refrigerator like all day. We're gonna go ahead and take, because I have those other 2 clumps, we're gonna take the larger clump, it's just slightly larger, that's the one we're gonna go ahead and put in the landscape. Just right off of the refrigerator, we have this shade garden, and there are tons. Like if you see an empty space, it's because there's probably a perennial in there. So I was thinking about, where am I going to put this drinking gourd, and I was going to put it kind of right here in front of the pine tree, but it is next to an elegans hosta, and so this elegans is right here. Elegans is also a blue hosta and can get really big, and so she's been in the ground for a while, so I know she's going to be big. And then I really didn't want to have 2 blue hostas right beside each other, So I scrapped that idea, and then what we're going to do is just come over here. We have got some LA Dreamin' hydrangeas. There's 3 of them, and then we have a little bit of the unique stone still here, where you can see where I scratched up the pine needles. So we're going to say a prayer that there is not a plant right there. I looked around, I don't see anything. So that is where Drinking Gourd is going to go. Of course, I have got my Jenny's Edition 9-inch auger, so we are going to drill the hole. We are going to then fill it up with some good biotone starter fertilizer and then plop that baby in there, put back the native soil. Mimi had come through in the fall and put some land and sea around. I might just do a little light dressing of land and sea, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward. That's the great thing about hostas. They're not divas. They are great workhorses for the shade garden. And then of course I always have to put that little caveat. Unless you're in the cooler zones, then you can grow them in the full sun. But I'm not talking to you because I don't like you right now. If you can grow hostas in the full sun, that's just crazy talk to me. Because here in the South, we can't do it. There's only one hosta that I know that you can grow in the sun, and it's literally called sun hosta. And I tested it and it works, and it just makes my mind just blow because here in the South, we don't grow hostas in the full sun. So anyway, I digress. Gonna get this one in, and then we got an AquaPot. I gotta empty the AquaPot. Oh my word. That's been the hardest part of the day, is emptying the pots. But that's all right. We're getting muscles. We're getting a workout. Who says gardening is a passive sport? Not here. My friends, I have got the hosta divided, planted. We are done for the day with the Drinking Gourd hosta. AquaPot, I didn't really explain a whole lot. I just took out, it was a black laced elderberry. I have tried with elderberries, the black, the silver, not silver, the lime green. I don't know if it's humidity or what variety, cultivar, they just don't do so well for me. So I just went ahead and pulled it out. It's going to go into the compost pile. It had great root system. It couldn't perform as far as the top growth. So it came out, and then the Drinking Gourd went in. Again, started with complete fresh soil. That is huge, especially if you're putting perennials, a shrub, or even a tree into a container. Give it as much fresh soil as it possibly can have. That way you can leave it in there for the maximum number of years. The less soil that the plant has its roots to grow, the less time it can stay in that pot. So like I said, the one in the refrigerator been there for like 6 years. So, we're doing pretty darn good. So the fun thing though is within this bed, I'm going to have 3 sets of Drinking Gourd hostas, right? So we are multiplying. This is a great way to be a very smart gardener, is that your plants over time, they multiply, they get bigger, you can divide them. Maybe you have little babies, like I've got hellebores all over around my feet that have naturalized. So choosing those kinds of plants that in a couple of years you can divide and multiply in your garden. It is a great and smart thing, and plus it benefits the plant greatly because once they get too big, then they really do need to be divided. Come this summer, when everything is thick and full and lush, we're going to have 3 Drinking Gourds. Of course, we got it in the refrigerator, then the AquaPot, which is just kind of tucked right here, and then there'll be one that is tucked around the corner there at the base of the stump. And so kind of bringing that cohesiveness to the garden is a beautiful thing. So if you have got nice, big, beautiful hostas that you want to multiply in your garden, now is a good time to do it. Of course, now if you're covered in snow and ice and your ground is frozen solid, put a pin in this, save this video, come back to it in 4, 6, 8 weeks, whenever it is appropriate for your garden. Personally, I like to get the hostas divided before they really their leaves start to unfurl. For me, once the leaves start to unfurl, then I'm damaging the leaves and it's hard to get that prettiness factor back for the season. Another fantastic time to divide your hostas is at the very end of summer into fall, because of course those plants are going to be going dormant. It doesn't matter if you mess up your leaves, because they will be going dormant, and then all winter long you get beautiful root growth. So the perfect time to divide, transplant hostas, and I would say the vast majority of your shade perennials is going to be that fall, late winter, very, very early spring. So if you can, get out there in your garden. I cannot wait to see all the beautiful green lushness and flowers that is to come from this garden this summer. It's going to be glorious. As always, we hope you found this fun, informative, inspirational. Y'all have a fantastic day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.